Hello, everyone, and welcome to the video. Obviously, in Britain and America this year, we've got prime minister elections, presidential elections going on. So I thought I'd do a quick video giving my insight into my prediction about what I think is going to happen in the 2024 US presidential election between Trump and Biden in November later this year. Now, you've got a blank map here of all the states, each worth different number of electoral college points, depending on the size of the populations in those states. So for California and Texas, for example, big points because they've got huge populations there. Whereas your smaller states like Idaho, Wyoming, Vermont, very small points because they've got much smaller populations. Now, there's obviously 50 odd states, 50, 51, whatever you want to call it, states in play. The US election is only going to be determined by six states in reality, based on polling, past trends, past results in previous elections, what the polls are showing now, and my thoughts just as an observer. I'm just going to pause here really quickly and say if you do enjoy this content and this video and you want to see more, please just give us a subscribe. I'm nearly at 500. And I really do appreciate anyone viewing this and subscribing to the channel. It's really appreciated. So, first of all, we're going to start off with the safe Democrat states. Now, these are states which, and I'm generalizing here, but this is what I think about states which vote Democrat, the majority vote Democrat. These are states which are anti American, tend to have Marxists, Antifa. They're pro illegal immigration, they're anti gun rights, they're pro abortion. They were very supportive of the BLM riots during the 2020, the summer of riots. Lazy and just Democrat voters, just generally terrible people overall. So these are the states which are going to vote Democrat. We've got polls of polls, average presidential polls, and some of the other tabs here, but there's no point going into the detail in every single one. California's up 18 points, huge 54 points there straight away. Colorado, we'll be doing this in alphabetical order, if that's not already obvious. Connecticut, you can learn some US geography as I go through this. Delaware, District of Columbia, Hawaii, 4 points. Illinois is one which everything around it tends to be quite red, so Illinois is a bit of an anomaly in that sense. Maryland, everyone in the northeast rather, just yeah, terrible people tend to vote Democrats. You've got Maryland, Massachusetts, um, Minnesota. Who else have we got? Just looking at my notes here. New Hampshire. New Hampshire tends to be one which there's always murmurs it could go Republican, could go to Trump, but it didn't in 2016 and 2020. It's in a part of the country where there's no real point. Maine and New Hampshire could go Republican, but the points, in my opinion, just aren't worth it. 4 points, 4 points, compared to your Pennsylvanias, your Ohio's, your Texases, your Arizonas, Georgias, Floridas. It's I wouldn't even bother going up there if I was Trump. Not saying write it off, but it's not worth the effort. So who else we got? New Jersey, 14 points there. It's an important state, but it's a safe Democrat state. Maine is actually, according to the polls, leaning Trump. But like I said, for the reasons I've just mentioned, I don't think the Trump campaign will put too much effort into it. You've also got the district points. I'm not going to go into that into too much detail. It's so irrelevant. That happens for Maine and Nebraska. The background of why that is, don't know, not looked into it. But it's just so minuscule, it's not even worth talking about. Then we've got New Mexico and New York. Big 28 points in New York. Safe Democrat state. And then Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia. Virginia used to be a bit more of a battle state, but it's more of a safe Democrat state now, unfortunately. And Washington State. So before anything started, Joe Biden and the Democrats should have 226 points. That's before they don't really have to put any effort into any of these states. There's been murmurs about Oregon, Minnesota, perhaps Colorado, New Mexico, but if I was in the Trump campaign, I wouldn't even look at any of these states. They're too far gone. They're full of too many terrible people. So I just leave them to it. Don't waste resources there. Then we get on to the great states full of great people. Now these great states full of great people, they're safe Republican, safe Trump states. So these are your more patriotic Americans, hard workers, pro gun rights, pro life, desire great law and order, in favour of low taxes, tend to be more Christian, and they're just overall fantastic people. So again, in alphabetical order, let's have a whistle stop tour of America. So we've got Alabama, you've got Alaska. You can ignore Arizona for now. Arkansas, Florida. Florida's an interesting one. it always used to be that Florida and Ohio were real battleground states, excuse me. And if you were to win presidency, especially for a Republican, you have to win both to win the election. They've become more sort of safe leaning Republican states in recent years under Trump. Trump won both of them in 2016 and 2020. The fact Florida's quite safe Republicans astounding, to be honest with you, and it's a huge 30 points. In 2016, you could have actually lost Florida and won the election, which is remarkable. But both Florida and Ohio obviously won't highlight that yet because we're doing this alphabetically, but it's incredible they're becoming more safe Republican states. Florida's a lot to do with Ron DeSantis and his great influence as governor there. And Ohio, just the demographics, more working class, they just love Trump. So interesting dynamics there. So moving on, we're going to ignore Georgia for now. Then you've got Idaho, only 4 points, Indiana, Iowa. Iowa used to be Obama, I think, won that in '08 from memory, but that's gone more safe Republican now in recent years. Kansas and Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan is going to be left blank for now. Mississippi, Missouri. Where's Missouri? There it is. Then we've got Nebraska, oh, Nebraska, Nevada again. Another one I'm going to leave blank. Then we've got North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio. We've already talked about Ohio. Very important state for the Trump campaign. They've definitely got to shore up Ohio and Florida, but I don't really see them being ones the Democrats can realistically win. So that's great news for Trump. Then we've got Oklahoma, Pennsylvania. I'll leave blank again for now. South Carolina, safe Republican. South Dakota. See up here, they've got a lot of states from Oklahoma all the way to Idaho. I mean, 7, 13, 18, 21, 24, 28, 32. All those states together don't even compare to California based on the populations. So, yeah, it's interesting. Tennessee, safe Republican. Big one, Texas. There's been murmurs of Texas trying to be competitive due to the change in demographics, more of a Hispanic population that tend to vote blue Democrat more. But again, even in 2024, I can't. I just think it's another safe Trump state rather. Then you got Utah, its big Mormon population, always votes Republican. West Virginia, Wisconsin, we're going to leave blank, and Wyoming. So there you've got it, folks. Before any of the real interesting stuff happens, in the 50 odd states in America, near enough none of them, all of them, well, the vast majority, let's say, are already determined. You could disagree with some of these. You might disagree with Ohio and Florida. You might say they're more of a battleground than I'm saying. North Carolina, Obama won that, I think, in '08, but that's been Republican ever since. Some murmurs about Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota's in play, so I'm going to ignore that. Again, like Maine with Nebraska, one of each of these points went to Biden and Trump. So Trump won one in Maine and Biden won one in Nebraska. It's irrelevant. They cancel each other out, so we're not going to talk about that. Now, this brings us on to the six key states: Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. So everything's going to be decided in these six states. Now, other than Nevada, in 2016, Trump won Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. That's what got him to victory in 2016. And he lost those five states in 2020. Now, according to all the recent polls we have, which I'll show you now, Trump is ahead, incredibly, in all six of them. So, Arizona, you can see here, some polls have got him up 3 points, 4 points. These are the most recent polls we've got in March 2024. 6 points, 7 points, nothing with Biden drawing or ahead. Georgia, again, March 24, Trump up 3, 4, 7, 3, 4. Michigan, I don't know who this Whitmer fella is, but ignore that. Trump, Biden, Trump's up 3, 1, 6, 8, 2, 3. Interestingly, you've got some even ones here. The more recent ones have Trump ahead, but there are some with even, so we'll get onto that in a minute. Nevada, Trump's up 5, 3, 2, 6. Ignore the 18 and 9 because that's nothing to do with Biden. Up 9, excuse me, up 10, up 7, up 2. Clear lead. Again, Biden's not drawing or winning in any of those. Pennsylvania, you've either got Trump winning or even. The fact there's three polls which have it even is very interesting. Even CNN's got Trump up on one of them there. Fox has got it even, so that will be a very, very close state. And Wisconsin, the vast majority of Trump ahead, but Biden's up in one of them, a Bloomberg poll from a couple of weeks ago. So it's going back to our map. There were some really, really close states in 2020. So Arizona was decided by a mere. This is Arizona, isn't it? Yeah. Look at that. Over 3 million votes cast when you had the two candidates together. 11,000 or so votes. 0.3% difference. It's nothing. Georgia, very similar case. Over, what's that? Nearly 5 million votes. Call it 12,000, round it. 0.23%. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. For that reason, I really do think these are tend to be safe Republican seats, Arizona and Georgia. With the state of the economy, Joe Biden's poor performance, people a lot in the South wanting Trump back. I truly do believe both Arizona and Georgia are going to go to Trump. This then puts Trump, if he can hold all the other seats, states, I keep saying seats. That's the British election system coming into my head. Sorry. So if he wins all the states he won in 2020 when he lost, well, under very unusual circumstances, let's just leave it at that in the 2020 election with your postal voting, which is definitely not subject to huge fraud issues. Anyway, if he wins just Arizona, if he flips Arizona and Georgia, he's nearly there. 262. He needs a mere 8 points. You need 270 to win a US election. Nevada's not enough, though. But any one of these three, just one of them, if he was to win Georgia and Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin, just one of them, he'd win. Whereas in this scenario, Biden, again, wouldn't. But in this scenario, Biden or Trump wouldn't actually be interested in Nevada based on the points. Biden would have to win all three, whereas Trump would just need one of them. So that's very interesting. So let's talk about Michigan. Michigan is a very interesting state, but it's actually one which Biden won more convincingly than others. Trump won it in 2016 by, let's have a look, just over very, very slim 10, 11,000 votes. Very, very marginal win. Whereas in 2020, Biden won it convincingly compared to some of the other close states. It's what, three percentage votes? It's not a huge victory in percentage terms, but in pure the number of votes, it's about 150 odd thousand. I do think Trump will struggle to flip Michigan. Now, the polls, as we saw a minute ago, nothing's got Biden ahead. Trump's winning or leading rather in all of them. Michigan's got a big Muslim population, Somalis in particular, and they are not happy with the Democrats and Biden with the handling of the Gaza conflict, Israel-Gaza conflict. And not that you would expect a lot of these voters to switch to vote Trump, but they might just not vote for Biden or vote for another candidate. That could be detrimental to Biden's chances of re-election. But despite the polls, I just because of it's the Arizona and Georgia ones were 11, 12,000 votes. It's very, very small margins. This is a bit bigger. And I don't actually see, I don't know if Trump's got enough to flip it, in all honesty. Trump, you either love him or hate him. Um, Despite all of Biden's shortcomings, his clear mental state, nothing against the guy in that sense. He should be just be enjoying life in retirement. He's in his 80s. He's not running the show. Let's be honest. He's not cut out for it. But I actually do think at this point in time, Michigan will stay with Biden. That's just my view. Nevada, as we mentioned earlier, Trump's winning in all of them, all these polls. In how many votes? 34,000 votes back in 2020. Don't, based on what I'd expect to happen, I don't know how much effort. You want to win as many states as you can, but like I say, in this scenario right now, it's completely irrelevant. Trump and Biden would not care about Nevada purely based on the number of points. It's only got 6 points available. So if all the other things I've said hold true, you wouldn't, neither candidate would care about Nevada. So polls have got Trump ahead. Trump didn't win it in 2016 when he won the election, and he didn't win it in 2020. I don't think he'll have enough, personally. I might be wrong. I don't know if he'll have enough, and if they'll put enough resources into Nevada if they've got similar thinking to me. So I think Nevada will actually stay again as a Biden state, but that does nothing in this scenario to help Joe Biden win the election. Pennsylvania is huge, 19 points. Like I said, Trump needs one of these. Biden needs both in this scenario. Trump won Pennsylvania in 2016, and I think it will be very tight. There's a few polls which have them neck and neck, but there's more that have Trump winning. I do think Trump will win Pennsylvania. He's won it before, unlike Nevada. And with the state of America, I think people want Trump back. Enough people. Perhaps not a majority of the popular vote. We might talk about that in a minute. But in my view, Trump wins Pennsylvania and wins the election. But let's just finish off with Wisconsin, final state. Again, Trump won Wisconsin in 2016. He won it by 23 or so thousand votes, and he lost it by 20,000. So again, in both years, very, very over 3 million votes. It's nothing. 20,000 out of 3 million is very, very small. 0.7, 0.6, 0.7. Wisconsin, I think they could put good resources in there, and I do believe Trump will win based on the polls. That's a 2020 map to avoid confusion. Trump for me wins Wisconsin. As of March 2024, that is my prediction about what will happen in the US election later this year. Now, the reasons for this, Trump's ahead in most of these states, according to most polls. He is actually currently predicted to win the popular vote. This is all the states, and Trump's never. When he won it in 2020, when he won it in 2016, he lost the popular vote. When he lost it in 2020, he also obviously lost the popular vote. These polls, other than the odd one, the majority all have Trump ahead. So if Trump was to win the popular vote, which is something he's not done in either of the past two elections, that would be huge. There's going to be no COVID measures this time with postal voting, or not, excuse me, nowhere near the same extent of postal votes. And I do believe there was mass fraud. Postal voting is just rife for mass fraud. You see it in Britain, you see it in America. Loads of countries in the world don't have it because it's just, you cannot compare turning up in person, providing ID, voting to postal voting. Postal voting is subject to so much fraud. If you've got members of your household not interested in politics, you live in a house of five, and five ballots arrive at your door. You, if though the other four members of the family aren't interested, you can literally fraudulently sign and vote in all the ballots, take them out, put them in the postal box, send them off. And these people might not even know they ever got their postal ballot. They just don't care. And if the measures aren't the same, because COVID's obviously not a factor this time in the same way, and it's a lot more in person voting, I do think Trump will win. And I think Trump will win 291 to 247. That's just my thoughts, though. I hope you enjoy this video. It's a bit different to some of my usual ones. But what do you think? Is this accurate? Am I well off? Do you think he's going to lose Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin? Do you think he's going to win Michigan, Nevada, and maybe a rogue state? I don't know, New Hampshire, a Maine, even a Colorado. What do you guys think? Thanks for watching. Many thanks. Bye.